Oh, friends, I have another treat for you. I have the Julie Cole on my podcast today. Like, this is one of those moments that I'm sitting here and going, wow, so synchronistic how I ran into her at two events in the last few months. And it was a given. She was such a warm soul. She was a heck yes when I asked her to be on the podcast. And those of you that are in my age group, grew up in my neighborhood, you know Julie Cole well. She is the senior director of Mabel's Labels. Like, how many of us grew up with these labels on our kids' lunch boxes? I'm just beside myself. We just had this conversation, and I wanted just to introduce this to you because that was a vibrant conversation. I can't wait for you to listen. Let me tell you a little bit about Julie before you listen in. Julie is not just dynamic. She's a dynamic entrepreneur, a recovered lawyer, and a mom of 6 children who traded in her legal career to co-found Mabel's Labels, the award-winning company that transformed from a business startup into a multi-million-dollar industry leader. She is the senior director now of Mabel's Labels, and she's helped revolutionize the durable label market while becoming a recognized voice in entrepreneurship. She's won tons of awards as a businesswoman. She's a best-selling author. She's appeared on so many media outlets, including NBC's The Today Show, HLN's Raising America, The Marilyn Dennis Show, CNN, CP24, and Breakfast Television. Her written work has been featured in The Huffington Post, The Globe and Mail, Profit Magazine, Today's Parent, and more. Beyond business, Julie is deeply committed to community engagement, mentoring emerging entrepreneurs, and advocating for women's rights. I am so pleased and happy and just honored to share this conversation with you. I know you're going to love it. Let's dive in. Welcome to the High Vibes Podcast. I'm Binu, your host. My goal with every episode is to leave you feeling better, shining your light a little bit brighter than before you press play. Let's dive in. Actually, I just want to dive in here. Like I have you in front of me, the lessons learned from what you said, 23 years in business, from being like, I'm 55 and I've just started my coaching business probably I'd say just 5-6 years ago. And then I was teaching fitness, but I was dabbling. So when I was dabbling when my kids were young, you were full-fledged running a business. So can we just go here? Like, why did you start this business? Let's just start there. And then I want to know all the lessons, because if I can learn them now, bring them on.
Oh man, so many lessons. I wouldn't even know where to start. We could be here all day with all the lessons. But yeah, it's so funny, Binu. I do remember back in those Twitter days. I'm not even on Twitter anymore. Like that's,
me neither.
No, yeah, things changed there. It just got different and got taken over. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out. Okay, so Mabel's Labels. Yeah, back in the day, 23 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah, it all started really for a couple of reasons. One was that there was a product missing from the market, and me and my co-founders, who were my sister and actually 2 of our friends from University of Waterloo,
Cool.
and they went on to marry my brother, and I have a young uncle. So it became a family business too, really. So the 4 of us were like, there's a product missing from the market. We're using masking tape and permanent marker, and it's not working. There's nothing permanent about permanent marker. So we're like, hey, like good mom entrepreneurs do. We're like, there's a gap in the marketplace. Let's fill it. Let's see what's going on out there. So we had a good product idea. So that was one of the things that was a catalyst. But the other big catalyst, particularly for me, was that my eldest child was 3 and had just been diagnosed with autism. And I, joke, I'm a recovered lawyer. I didn't think the traditional workforce was going to suit me. I needed the flexibility that entrepreneurship would provide. So, needing to make a pivot coupled with a good idea for a product, we were like, let's do it. Let's go in and give this a try and see what happens. And there you go. Here we are 23 years later.
Wow. And I heard on that stage last week, you have 6 children?
Oh yeah, there's that. Yeah. So, I mean, doing that shift was great because Mac had just turned 3 and got his diagnosis. He already had 2 younger siblings. I mean, and then of course 3 more came along. So, like you said, you've done a lot of like kind of dabbling in things when you're, when you have kids, like, because the workload and that invisible workload, and homes aren't run democratically yet, and either are businesses. And so we're still carrying a lot of that load. We're carrying that, and that impacts us professionally. And we're the ones who are most likely to make those professional shifts. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, and I see that with a lot of women. So you had partners, right? So, and when I think back to that time, I honestly, like I was saying, I was dabbling. Like I started by teaching fitness in the gym just to pay for my membership. But you were deep down with 3 kids under 3. Like, how did you evolve? Like, this is the part I love talking about now, is like how you evolved as the woman behind the brand. Because I think sometimes like that's what some women aren't paying attention to. Like they're jumping right in and then they're getting overwhelmed and burnt out. Like, did you get burnt out? Did you experience all this?
So I'm going to say that there's a couple things that play there that work to my advantage. One is that I have a lot of capacity, right? Like I am able to manage a lot without sort of getting my knickers in a knot or getting too stressed out. And that is just one of those, we're all different, right? And so, if you don't have that capacity, and if you do feel like, wow, I need some more me time, I need to hit the yoga, I need to go get a manicure, that's awesome. And you need to do those things. But I would not suggest starting a business and having 6 kids, because that's just not going to happen. So you have to know yourself. You have to be in touch with yourself. And there's no better way. There's no right way. It's just your way. And don't let, society project onto you what's the right thing to do. And I always say, having it all is having what you want. So in my mind, I had it all because I wanted 6 kids. I wanted to start the business in the basement. We wanted to do those things. So, and there was definitely a mindset piece. And I know you speak a lot to mindset sort of things. And it was just these are the hard years, right? Like sometimes you just buckle down. And I certainly reflect back sometimes and I'm like, how? We all do that. Like, when you're like, you think, how did I get through those? And I've got this little toddler that comes over from next door. And I'm just like, how did I do that 6 times? Like, I'm telling you, it's a young woman's game. I'm telling you. So there was that, understanding my capacity and also my tolerance for chaos, and my ability to really pick my battles. I'm very I don't die on every hill. I'm very careful about the hills I die on. And the ones I do, I really do, but I let a lot go. I literally do not sweat the small stuff. But keep in mind too, I had co-founders, right? So when you have co-founders, especially in those days, Binu, because as you remember, those solo entrepreneurs, if you're a mom who started a side hustle, you're working in your basement or your garage or in your kitchen table, it was isolating because we couldn't listen to your podcast. We didn't have people online to connect with. None of that was there. No social media, nothing. Yeah. So, I mean, the most kind of networking you could do in those days is maybe turn up to some chamber event where there's a bunch of old white dudes, right? Yeah. So it felt very isolating. It felt very alone. And it was just I always can find there's so many parallels with motherhood and with being an entrepreneur, which is, you love it, but it can be so lonely. And so, for me to have my friends and co-founders, it was social. It was, when the brain gremlins were telling you can't do this, somebody else was there to say, yeah, you can, we're doing it, watch us, right? So we could kind of help each other that way. It also meant we were sharing the risk. It also meant we were sharing the work, and that's why, people are like, how do you have time to do these things? I'm like, there were 4 of us, Yeah. So one person was managing the production. One person was doing, talking to the banks and doing that stuff. So we were able to really divide and conquer. And so then to your point, and I think it's an important one, Binu, about, and it's about really visibility and being that that public facing founder. And, we always understood the importance of that. Even from those early days, we understood the importance of and knowing our customers' moms. They don't want to buy from nameless, faceless brands. They want to feel connected. They want their values to align. So making sure in those early days, I was doing the blogging, and I wasn't blogging about labels. I was blogging about, being a mom, being just like our customers. So it's a wonderful way to connect. And Yeah, and that has been with me all the way through, and that's remained so important. I think it's even more important now with,
Yeah.
trust. Trust is a currency, loyalty is a
Yes.
currency. And with AI and everything, people, particularly moms, still want to feel those connections with the brands that they buy from. So it is my job to turn up. It is my job to connect with moms. And who has the best job in the world like this guy?
I love it. And actually, what's interesting? Like you're talking about blogging way back then. Like I've kind of gone the more video route. And I got on Facebook doing video because I had it's like, what's your strength? So I mean, even just listening to you, you had an innate strength of showing up, pushing through the fear, having people beside you. Like there's so many people that just won't step into that little bit of fear. So you had something like capacity. I had something, so whether it's like built-in confidence from when I was a teenager, where I had no problem showing up on video. But I've just started blogging now because I've always wanted to blog, yet video was easier. So I did that. But what's interesting is I want people listening to this, want them to understand the visibility piece, like that lineage is still there. The face to the name, the story. This is what I call I'm blogging because I want people to see the woman behind what they see on Instagram. And there's only so much I can share on that content. So long form, I thought I'm just going to write, and I'm having all these downloads, Julie, and it's like coming out of me. But
I love it.
Thank you for sharing that you started blogging early on, because I want people to realize it's not dead.
No, it's not dead. And I think long form is coming back. I'm about to start a Substack, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It's like my mom blogger days back,
Yes.
And you also have to be aware of what's going on out there. So if your market, my market's moms, where are they? Where are they consuming? So yes, the moms who are like us, Binu, our age, my OG moms, were on Facebook. So, we have 250,000 Facebook fans, but now the next generation moms, they're on Instagram, they're on TikTok. Where are they? You go where they are and be visible where they are. So make sure you're following. And if the trends are people are doing short form content or video content or YouTube, if these things, and you got to also be thinking about the machine, like, SEO, and now where is AI sending people? Is AI finding you to put you in front of people? So you need to be paying attention to these things because that's your job. And I know, for people like me and you, Binu, and this is why the girls were like, Julie, you're the face of the brand, off you go, is because we are natural at it. It's something, I'm good at, right? And I love it. So it makes sense. But I'm going to suggest for folks who are CEOs and are founders, that might not be you. You might be more a behind the scenes guy. And I get it. But you need to understand what's happening out there. And that is that CEOs and founders are the new content creators. You don't have to be polished. You can it's not content creation so much as it is documentation. So you can just, if it was an early day of Mabel's Labels, it would be me packaging up labels, going off to the post office, sending it maybe to a mom blogger, hoping, showing fingers crossed. I hope they post about it. Just do that sort of stuff, or do the stuff that you are comfortable with. So if you're not really camera facing, start with being like, hey, can I be on your podcast? Or, hey, can I do a guest blog on your site? Or, hey, can we do a collaboration between our brands? Find brands that are similar but not competing. So for me, we co-brand with lots of people. We do lots of collaborations. It might be with a water bottle company, right? Or any children's product where they're in front of moms, we're in front of moms, and it's like, okay, let's do something together so we get in front of each other's communities. There's so much opportunity for collaboration. But I will say, if you are that person, and introverted leadership is fantastic. Servant leadership, I love. There's so much beauty in those styles of leadership. But as far as visibility, you do need to step out of your comfort zone. And I would just put it in your goals. So maybe you're going to say, I'm going to ask 2 people to be on their podcast, or I'm going to follow where Julie's at, and I'm going to turn up to an event she's speaking at. I'm going to introduce myself and tell her that I want to be on one of her Instagram lives. Whatever your goals are, but do the things that you're a little, all the good stuff happens, all the growth happens when you're really uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I love those ideas. And yeah, because there are those leaders behind the scenes that even I talked to somebody yesterday and she's like, I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, so I've done this for 10 years. So I love that. Like, videotape yourself packaging something or working at your computer. Not everybody has to be speaking. And those are great ideas. Okay. So something that's just coming to me, and we work very intuitively here on my podcast.
I love that.
You said something on that stage, Julie, that hasn't left me about women and money. And I am a big advocate for, I come from like subconscious programming. And I just see now the more of my clients I'm talking to about money and all their stories and the things that's keeping them stuck. It's like I'm trying to just speak about money more and just having more women talk about it so we can release the thing that's holding them. But you said something, and I probably have it, you can quote it properly. You were like, we're here for the money. You said something like that. Like, why are we afraid to talk about the money? Do you remember what you said?
I have no idea, but yes, 100%. Like, this is a thing. And I think, I did probably mention, because this is something that I see all the time. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs or just coach or mentor or hear them ask me questions. And I see a lot of money trauma, particularly with women. Yeah. And it happens very culturally. It happens very gender based. I know. And it actually, sometimes it's like, well, I feel guilty if I make money, or if I make money, I should be doing more philanthropically. It's okay for you to make money,
Period.
Like, I don't make labels as, a charity. I can build philanthropic things in, and I will tell you, women-owned companies and women-led companies are far more philanthropic than companies that are owned and run by men. We are doing the good things. We are always doing the good things. We are funding each other at incredible rates. We are supporting each other. We're lifting each other up. But we need to really like blow the doors open on this whole like guilty about money. And I think, a big part of it is that I think a lot of historically, we haven't had the knowledge, the husbands have handled the money. I'm from an Irish family. So the women always managed the money because in Irish culture, the men would go and piss it up against the wall after spending it at the pub. So the men would always hand over the money, and the women would give them their bit of, for a few pints of Guinness, but they always managed the money. So that was something that was interesting, but also, and I know and I think this goes hand in hand, is money and risk, right? So a lot of us who are like first generation Canadians, even when we go and try to launch something new, we get a lot of fight back from our parents, our grandparents, because all they wanted was stability. When my grandpa arrived to Canada, in 1950 to build a house and get a job, when we had to tell him, my sister was a teacher, I was a lawyer, and we're saying we're starting a label company, and he lost his mind because he's like, you have stability, you have, like my sister, you have a great pension, you have your summer holidays, so you're dealing with also a lot of backlash around that. So, money and money, risk, having an appetite for risk, all that stuff is tough on women. So we need to be talking about it and normalizing it.
No, I love that. And actually, I didn't know this about the Irish. And so I'm from the Indian background, and my parents came in the late 60s, and it was the opposite, right? The men took care of it all.
And most are.
And my mom
Unless
didn't
you're
know
from
anything.
a country of drunks like I was. Like,
But it's so interesting because I want to normalize this conversation, actually. And I've had people say like they're starting to have conversations with their girlfriends. But the one thing that's come up a little bit recently is around like that transition from, so you were a corporate lawyer and then making a certain salary and then started entrepreneurship. There's a few women in my world who, it's like they don't have 2 feet in entrepreneurship. They have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because they're unsure if they can do this. Unsure if they can, maybe I should just go back and go back to the job. Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I mean, like again, you need to know your capacity, right? Like to be an entrepreneur, you have to have an appetite for risk. If you're risk adverse, this isn't going to suit you because you're making decisions every day that can impact whether you put food on the table. I mean, that's just the reality, right? So I would say if you, do your market research and you're like, I think I'm onto something here, And also, are you you need to manage your own expectations? Are you prepared to I didn't buy a new car. We didn't go on a family holiday. We gave up a salary, right? So we did without things. Are you willing to do that? Because if you're not, this might not work for you. If you have a partner or a spouse, are they, willing? Are they on board for you? Maybe putting the kids to bed at 8 o'clock, pouring, maybe they want to pour a glass of wine and watch Netflix with you or whatever. Are they okay with kids go to bed at 8 o'clock? You go to the basement till 2 a.m.? Because if they're not, it ain't going to work. So there's a lot of expectations to manage. You've got to understand what your appetite for risk is. But I also think sometimes entrepreneurs forget to check the privilege. I think about, me starting this was definitely a risk. And, sure, it took a little bit of courage and all of that. But at the same time, I had a spouse who had a good salary. And I had the confidence that if this didn't work out, I could go back to my job. I had education. I had confidence. I was raised by parents who, were self-regulated and taught us, raised us to be confident, educated people that felt good about ourselves. So that is a privilege we often don't talk about. So, was I that courageous? I don't know. Sure. But
no, I like this, Julie.
I still owned a house. I still it wasn't that bad, and I had things, I had backup plans. So, I guess I would encourage them to look, what are my real risks here? And what am I because people say, oh, well, I can't afford to do it. I'm like, interesting, because you have a 2026 car on your driveway.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's fine. That's what they chose. I've always chosen to drive secondhand cars.
Yeah.
I've always chosen to people say they can't afford another kid. I'm like, weirdly, I can, but I'll do without other things. So it's always, you can afford what you want, right?
Well, I find this really interesting because the more people I've been exposed to, of course, since I started stepping in to talking to more women around money. And I am the one, I'm doing this. The risk for me is I'm the one working on my money mindset because I am that secondary income earner. I'm the one that was the wife at the financial advisor table, not sure what they were talking about. Sign here, be new. And I've decided to learn something that I always pushed away. And it's interesting what you're tapping into because I feel like this is so important for us women to talk about, Julie, and just that privilege. That's so interesting too. But the thing I was getting to, I've been exposed to all these books and people talking about a millionaire's mindset. And it's not what people think. It's like you said, the millionaire is not driving the fancy car, yet in our persona, it's once I have $1 million a year, I can buy that car of my dreams when it might not even be of their dreams. Right.
So it's what society thinks. Or it's our mentality was we got to, making some good cash. We're let's put it back in the business. Right.
Yes.
You might decide to do that and you might be in a position to do that. Eventually we did and it wasn't that long, maybe 2 years. We started drawing a salary because we were young people and we were now we have, I had partners and some of them were I need to draw a salary. I'm for sure. I get it. But then we had to deal with that whole, okay, how much do we want to take out? What can the business afford if we still want to go on this trajectory of growth and update our equipment and do some hires? You're always managing those ups and downs, right? Yeah. And there's lots of conversations, but I do think, Binu, you bring up a really good point about, you're hey, maybe I need to learn about this. And I think even for women, you never know what your future holds. And if you get in a position where somebody else knows all about your personal finances and that maybe that's a spouse and you're no longer with them, you're in a really bad position. Yeah. You're in a really bad position because they've been in a position
financial empowerment for women, right?
And and literacy. And start doing it with your kids, start now. Start budgeting with your kids, start doing financial literacy. Nobody talks about finances with their kids, And I have no problem saying not in our budget, that's not in our budget. So, if we want to do this, then we have to do without there. And that's okay. I never say we can't afford or get them. They're never stressed about money. I'm just it's not part of our budget.
Yeah, no, I like that language because I do think this is a language that I didn't have until now. And now I'm very sensitive to language. And I think it's because of my hypnosis background and the subconscious mind awareness is like, so I don't say I can't afford something. But when I hear somebody say, like we're talking about going to these events and one woman saying that she wants to get in more rooms, meet new people. So I say, go to the event. She says, I can't afford it yet. We see that she's out at this thing and that thing and spending money on this. So then there's a part of me that's like, are we taking ourselves seriously? Like that's a part of like when you started your business. And I tell you, I was doing the hobby thing until I got to a point. I remember making a decision, like, am I running a business? And it was like a heck yes. That's when things started shifting for me of like, okay, I need to learn this, right? But let's talk about like, what's the mindset that someone has to have to do entrepreneurship, whether they're so I have a lot of women starting at 50, starting at 60. And so this is different. Kids are out of the house, right? So now you have some kids out of the house, I'm guessing. What would you say to them? Like to get in the right mindset because they've maybe some of them have been the main breadwinner, but we're in corporate.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that with a lot of women as well. They're doing like the shift. They're like, okay, I'm done with corporate. You know, they've sucked the soul out of me. And now I'm ready to, you know, flex my entrepreneurial muscles. And I've had this idea and I know what I'm good at. And I think, you know what? I think that age and stage is actually in a really good position to do it because literally, I know with hitting menopause, like there are a lot of things I give 0 F's about.
Yes.
And a lot of that.
Is it menopause?
I swear, I don't know.
No F?
I don't know if it's age. I have 0 F's to give. And like a lot of that will put you in a good position because you literally do not care about stuff that might hold younger people back.
Yes.
So I think you're in a good position. But at the same time, I feel like there's this whole ageism thing that happens that we're like, oh, you know, am I able to learn? Am I able to keep up? Am I too old for this? Why I'm the oldest person in this room at this event? So what? Yeah, like,
I'm
so
with you,
what?
girlfriend.
Just keep turning up. And you know what? Like, the soon is like, you know, I always say you rest. That's your body, that's your brain, that's your learning. And like, just keep learning and don't give in to that incompetence and get your kids to do. Although I have to say, I'm very bad. My kid said, I asked her to look at my reel and see what she thought. She said, I'm not going to gentle parent you with your social media anymore, Mom. And I'm like, fine. So, you know, try not to like, you know, any of the girls at work, I'm like, hey, am I using weaponized incompetence to get you guys to do this for me? They're like, yes. I'm like, okay, good point. You know, so, you know, like make sure that you're learning the things, but also do what you're good at. Like there's some things that you want to get other people to do for you because like it's not your zone of genius. So stick in your zone of genius. You probably have a little bit of money or savings behind you. You're probably a little nervous about being risky. Just plan, be sensible about it, budget, have a business plan, talk to other women, join a group, listen to Binu, have a coach, do those things, you know, to set yourself up for success. But I think the mindset like really is just about, you know, bring that energy and that confidence that you have earned over these years.
Yeah, like it's the wisdom, right? And so maybe they have 100%. Life wisdom, but apply it to what you're doing. But like, I love this energy because to me, it's how to bust through lack of worthiness, like go do the thing, right? Like to know that you're worthy, to know that you deserve all of this that you want. You wouldn't be having the idea or the calling if it wasn't for you to pursue. And who really cares? Like, this is where I'm like, I was saying to somebody, I hit 50. All of a sudden I didn't care. And somebody did say it's because I have no more estrogen. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but how about for all these friends, like are our age? It's like, can you step into that? Can you actually not care? Because if you care too much, it's going to stop you. And what's the worst that can happen? Your aunt or your cousin asks you a question, right? Like we take judgment to be just someone saying nothing. And then we assume that, oh, they think we're horrible or they think that
and
we're
like, who cares?
Our kids. I know.
Who cares? What they think of you is none of your business. Like, who cares?
Yeah. Oh, 100%, Julie. This is so good. Okay, so last question I have for you. So now you're doing a bunch of speaking, right? Like you're out there sharing your wisdom. Where can people find you? Like where can we, I think I'm going to be at something that you're going to be at in September. The Glow Summit.
Yes.
I
Is that
think
in
you're
Wells?
speaking. I think
Maybe?
so. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah, one of my friends
That's
is
a
part
future
of the
me problem.
committee.
Awesome. Yes,
Who
yes.
cares?
That's
Yeah,
September.
it's in
That's
the
a million miles
calendar.
away.
Where can people find you?
Okay, so I am very much on social media. I'm loving LinkedIn. I think that's a great place for thought leadership. I'm on Instagram. Of course, you're going to check out mabelslabels.com. And Binu, interestingly, our OG customers like you are now buying for their seniors. So we have a senior living pack and a lot of labels because that's what our OG customers were asking for. Full circle moment, right? And of course, if you want to learn about me, where to find me, see my media kit, order my book, it can be found at mabelslabels.com/Julie Cole. And then, of course, my book can be found Amazon, Indigo, all the places.
Okay, we're going to put all the links in the show notes. And what's the title of the book? Because I need this book.
The book is called Like a Mother, Birthing Businesses, Babies, and a Life Beyond Labels.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Julie, what a pleasure to have with you. I don't think this is our last conversation. I love your energy. I feel like we connected that moment I saw you at that event.
So good. You looked so great. Yeah, that jacket you were wearing, girl.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. It was a very special jacket. It's my mom's jacket. So thank you for noticing. That was me stepping into my next level. So
love it.
Thank
Do
you.
it.
Julie,
Thank you
what
so
a
much
pleasure.
for
I
having
can't
me.
wait for people to listen to this. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you listening. If this episode resonated with you and you wish to speed up your growth, feel free to check out my programs and services. Just go to my website, binu.ca. And if you know someone else who is seeking more meaning in life and could use some inspiration and high vibes along the way, please pass them on to me. It would mean the world. And it goes a long way if you take a few seconds right now and leave me a 5-star review and share this with your friends. I'll be forever grateful.